It has been traditional for the graduating class of the School of Dental Medicine to choose one of its members to be the class speaker at commencement. It is a pleasure for me to present this year's class speaker, Dr. Jonathan Spen.
During the summer of 2004, I knew very little about dentistry or dental school. It's probably just as well. Had I fully known what I was getting myself into, I might not be standing here today. Back then, FFA was the Future Farmers of America, PCA was the Presbyterian Church in America, and IGA was a grocery store. I would soon learn that those same terms can also mean free fatty acids, posterior cerebral artery, and immunoglobulin A. I would learn other things as well. That summer, someone asked me a question about crowns. I didn't even know what a crown was. Little did I know that in less than 1 year, I would be making my very own gold crown in Dr. Land's Introduction to Casting course. As a friend of mine used to say, 5 years ago I didn't know how to spell engineer, and now I are one. I mainly chose to come to SIU because I did not like the location of the other dental school where I had been accepted. In the back of my mind, I thought I was sacrificing the quality of education I would receive in order to avoid living in the big city. However, I was wrong. And I can stand here today fully convinced that I made the right decision in coming here, and that I in no way made a sacrifice in the quality of education I received. Rather, the opposite has been true. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the administration, the faculty, and the staff for their work in making the dental school what it is. I would especially like to thank them for going out of their way to help us prepare for the licensing exam. We as a class appreciate the fact that we were able to take the integrated format of credits this past year. I also want to thank the parents and the families for their support. Many of you put up with conversations about mesial and buccal and occlusal and way more other dental terminology than you ever wanted to hear. Yet you listened and you took an interest. Some of you even came and sat in the dental chair. For all of this, we say thank you. And finally, I want to thank my classmates. This class has worked hard to achieve some great accomplishments over the last 4 years. I can't say that I had a whole lot to do with our stellar performance on part 1 of the national boards, but I'd like to thank Tommy Urbanowitz and the rest of the class. All the way down the alphabet, from the Apostle Paul Annis to Steve Workman, it has been an interesting group of people and an interesting 4 years. I have enjoyed our time together, and I must say that I will miss all of you. One time during first year, Justin Steck was wearing his SIU SDM Class of 2008 t-shirt. Dr. Land made the comment that 2008 was a little bit optimistic. Nonetheless, Justin Steck is here today, along with most of his other classmates. Many of us in this room wondered if today would ever arrive, but it is finally here. It is a cause for much celebration. And since we're celebrating, I would like to talk about the 4 levels of happiness. These originally come from Robert Spitzer, president of Gonzaga University. Each level of happiness has a corresponding level of unhappiness, except level 4. The first level is too basic for our discussion today, and the 4th level is politically incorrect. So in the interest of time, I'll only be talking about levels 2 and 3. Even though there is a 3rd level of unhappiness, I will be not sharing this since I'm not sharing the 4th level of happiness, and I want to end on a positive note. If you want to learn about the other levels, you'll have to do this on your own time. The 2nd level of happiness is applying your mind to accomplish a goal. All of us, some more than others, have done this in order to make it here today. For most of us, today represents the biggest goal we have ever set out to accomplish. Dental school has been a series of smaller goals leading to a big goal. There has always been a task before us, whether it was the Lundin, the Gold Crown, the Gold Bridge, the Junior Research Paper, the national boards, and the list continues. But all of these smaller goals are now behind us. Today we are celebrating the accomplishment of the big goal, and there is certainly a happiness that comes along with this. However, I must warn you that after the smoke is cleared from today, achieving this goal will be somewhat anticlimactic. Almost simultaneously as we achieve the 2nd level of happiness, there is a corresponding 2nd level of unhappiness. In achieving our goal, we unfortunately lose the goal we had to work toward, that goal which gave us the happiness in the first place. So we then have to set and achieve new goals in order to maintain this level of happiness. In telling you this, I don't mean to ruin your day. And I will not take away the 2nd level of happiness without giving you something more durable in its place. So we move up the ladder to level number 3. The third level of happiness is unselfishly giving of yourself. If this is too much of a mouthful to remember, I have come up with a very convenient acronym that you can hopefully remember for the rest of your lives. DMD. The dentist must die. Some of you are now very confused because a minute ago I was talking about happiness and celebration, and now I'm talking about death. But let me explain myself. First of all, I want to explain what unselfishly giving of yourself does not mean. It does not mean that we work for free, although all of us need to be in the habit of giving away of a portion of our time and money. But it is possible to give of your money without giving of yourself, and these two are not the same thing. Unselfishly giving of yourselves does not mean that we allow patients to manipulate us or to dictate care. While we certainly believe in patient autonomy, the dentist has some autonomy as well. And finally, unselfishly giving of yourself does not mean that we cater to unrealistic expectations of unreasonable or ungrateful patients. One of our instructors warned us about patients for whom even perfect work is not good enough. He said the only way to treat some patients is to point them to the exit. Better to see the back of their head once than see the front of their face 200 more times. So what does it mean? Unselfishly giving of yourself is going beyond that which is expected or required. The physician David Stevens once worked in Tenwick Hospital in Kenya. He learned many valuable lessons about patient care and interaction with other workers. He was home from Kenya on furlough one time and worked as an emergency room doctor at a hospital in Kentucky. He brought to Kentucky the lessons he had learned in Kenya and didn't really think too much about it until his last day there. It was on his last day that the nurses brought in a cake and had a farewell party for him. They told him that they wanted him to stay and that they wanted to send the other ER doctors to Kenya. He said, what I hadn't realized was that the little things I was doing, helping them clean up after a procedure, assisting them in getting a patient into a wheelchair, promptly returning calls, asking them about their lives and families, these things had a tremendous impact on them. It was doing things that most doctors didn't do, things that were unexpected. And what he just described is what I mean when I talk about unselfishly giving of yourself. There is a happiness that comes from doing this, one that goes beyond what monetary compensation can provide.